What is the Japan crisis? Whether there's going to be a ripple effect if the Japanese market falls? Let's deep dive. Japan has been facing deflation for quite a long time. Post 1991, after the stock market crashed, there has been stagnant growth, and the people are not having that kind of incremental growth. Therefore, the mindset of the people in Japan were more on saving rather than to spend money. Also, the major concern is that their debt to GDP ratio is somewhere around 230%, which is the highest in the world. And as we know that Japan is the fourth largest economies in the world, 4.27 trillion dollar economy. The Japan is right now, wherein their debt is 9.2 trillion, which is twice their GDP. And that means, every year the Japan has to spend 25% of the GDP on paying the interest, which is huge. And their fiscal deficit is also widening. They're also planning to reduce the consumption tax from 8 to 10% to zero, which is going to affect the market because right now the sentiment is negative. People thinking that since the expenses are pretty much higher than their revenue, and if they're going to stop that stream of revenue, it is going to affect the market. And the people in Japan thinking that there's going to be instability in the market. Therefore, the bond prices are falling. And if the bond prices starts falling, and then their yield is going to rise. And if the yield is going to rise, then the interest rate, the government of Japan has to intervene and keep the interest rate up, maybe a 1% or 2%. If that happens, then the people who have invested in US or in other countries, then they have to sell those bonds and equities and take the money back to recover the money and pay back to the government. And if that happens, then of course 1.1 trillion dollar US treasury that they have, which starts selling those treasuries, there's going to be impact in the US. Their stock market is going to crash. And if that happens, every market, every international market, somehow or the other, are interconnected with the US stock market. So if US stock market starts crashing, then therefore there's going to be a ripple effect and every market is going to crash. So there's going to be a huge impact in the world if the Japan could not handle the crisis which they are in right now.